Hi, welcome to the first lesson of the course on statistics for HR. For most people, statistics may sound boring and complicated. In reality, statistics can help us make better decisions and even be very interesting. For instance, did you know that if you correctly shuffle a deck of cards, you'll create a configuration that has never existed and likely will never again for the entire existence of humanity? This is because there are too many possibilities. You have 52 options for the first card, 51 options for the second, 50 options for the third, and so on and so forth. This number is equal to 8 times 10 to the power of 67. This number is so incredibly large that there are almost more deck configurations than there are atoms in the universe. Unfortunately, this random statistical fact will not help you in everyday life, let alone help you manage people or make better decisions. But other statistics will. In this lesson, I will give you a small introduction to statistics. First, I will explain how statistics impact the world around us on a daily basis. Next, I will cover the importance of statistics for people analytics and how HR can use its statistics to its benefit. Lastly, I will briefly cover the dangers of statistics. Let's get started. You may not notice it, but statistics are used around us all the time, both visibly and on the background. Here are a few examples of statistics being used in everyday life. When you stop at a traffic light, it uses advanced statistical algorithms to determine when to put the traffic light to green and for how long, in order to create the most optimal flow of traffic. So, if you get stuck by a traffic light, just remember that the robot is doing this to you. We all watch the weather sometimes during the day. Whether you're planning a trip abroad or a trip to the supermarket, you consider the weather conditions. Will you need your umbrella? Or can you wear your open-toe shoes? Since future-telling machines haven't been invented yet, all the data you see on the weather report is due to the goodwill of statistics. If you see that there is a 60% chance of rain, that means that in the past, when the weather had similar conditions, it rained 60% of the time. When you come home after work, you may enjoy putting on Netflix and watch a show or two. You're not the only one, however. Netflix has well over 100 million paying subscribers over the world, with an incredible amount of data associated with each user. This data covers their viewing history, what time of day they usually use Netflix, the demographics such as age and location, and much more. All of this data allows Netflix to accurately predict which show you will likely want to watch in the future, giving you recommendations along the way. Statistics are also constantly being used in politics. We all know the surveys that come out every election, predicting which candidate is most likely to win and by what margin. Moreover, politicians use statistics all the time to understand where they should spend their budget, what election theme they should focus on, and whether a message they put out resonated with the public or not. Should they talk more about education or about healthcare? Smart use of statistics can help them get elected, make them more popular, and help to secure them a next term. Furthermore, statistics are being used all the time in sports. It can help you win your fantasy football league in the office, but it's also being used by major sports organizations around the world. Who hasn't seen Moneyball, a movie where Billy Beane, played by Brad Pitt, takes control of a small Major League Baseball team and, through the use of statistics, created a winning team that takes it all? Similar cases are found all around the world, with both large and small organizations using advanced statistical analysis to determine which players have the most potential and which strategy to use to optimize their chances of winning a match. Most board games rely a lot on statistics as well. Whether you play Catan, Monopoly or Risk, there's an element of statistics involved in deciding the optimal line of play. Where should you build your initial town? Should you buy a new property? Or build a hotel on your existing property to increase your payout? These decisions all have an element of statistics associated with them, giving players who understand the foundation of statistics an edge. This is just a small sample of a much larger variety of cases that use statistics around the world each day. The bottom line is, wherever you go, statistics is a part of your life. Now let's take a look at HR and how statistics can help you in this domain. The world of HR, as well as people in general, can be extremely random. You will never know for sure if your new hire will be a success or when a high-performing employee may want to leave. However, statistics can help us understand, capture and predict what has happened and what will happen, and thus help us to make better decisions. Let's take a look at a few examples. Statistics can help us in the basic sense of understanding our workforce. What's the average age of our workforce? Does this differ among countries? How many women are at the top of our organization? These questions might sound simple, but a lot of organizations have trouble answering these questions. The use of descriptive statistics, which I will cover in the next lesson, can help you with this. Statistics can also help you with performance management. What are certain characteristics that determine performance in our organization? How do our employees differ from each other, and how big is that difference? Or even more interesting, how do our employees from one team differ from employees in another team, and how does that impact their performance? All of these questions can be answered with the use of statistical analyses. Answering these can help you drive performance and therefore impact the bottom line of the company. It can help you with recruitment by determining the best recruitment channels and recruitment methods. For instance, will the addition of an assessment help us better determine whether a new hire is the right fit or not? And will this be a cost-effective addition? The only way we can calculate this is by using statistics. It can help you with employee turnover. What are the characteristics of people that are prone to leave the company? Is it tenure, age, manager style, travel distance to work, or anything else? How are they correlated with each other and with turnover? Finally, I just have to note that even though statistics can be incredibly helpful in both the real world as well as HR, statistics can also be misleading or even used maliciously. Or to use a well-known quote that is said to be first used by Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli of Great Britain, there are three kinds of lies: lies, damn lies, and statistics. The quote is meant to highlight the deceiving but persuasive power of numbers. For instance, did you know that 73.6% of statistics are made up? This is a joke, and I just made that statistic up, but it shows how simply telling people a statistic can make you sound more believable. And this is a problem when you can actually influence statistics due to various methods, like for instance p-hacking. This is a huge problem, particularly in social science research. A recent study published in the journal Nature looked whether a set of the most famous modern psychology studies could be replicated. It found that only 39 of the 100 replication attempts were successful, which in part shows how easy it is to manipulate scientific results. Moreover, statistics can be deceiving simply looking at graphics. The x-axis or y-axis can be manipulated to show a larger difference than there actually is. A famous example is of a senator in the United States who wanted to show how Planned Parenthood was changing its focus from health screening to abortions using the following graph. Can you see what's wrong with it? He used two y-axes and an x-axis that did not make sense in this context. But it did look convincing on this banner, because who's going to read the fine print anyway? It's about the lines intersecting each other. When you actually look at the data, the graph should have looked like this. A little different than before, as the y and x-axis are now used correctly. This happens all the time, so always take a second look when this kind of visual information is presented. Or think of misleading correlations, such as these, which shows correlations between two factors that are totally not correlated. For instance, US spending on science, space and technology, and suicides by hanging, strangulation and suffocation. Or per capita consumption of cheese and the number of people who died by becoming tangled in their bedsheets. Or take worldwide non-commercial space launches and sociology doctorates awarded in the US. All of these examples have a very high correlation with each other, yet obviously have nothing to do with each other. There can also be sampling biases. I always laugh at the following example. A statistical analysis of fish caught in the Pacific Ocean concluded that there are no fish in the ocean that are smaller than the holes in the net. Similar biases do occur in the statistical analyses around the world. There's a big risk in asking certain departments questions on, for instance, engagement, and then determining that the outcomes speak for the entire company. Moreover, oftentimes statistical significance is misinterpreted for actual real-life significance. If you know statistics, you understand that just because there is a statistical significance, this does not equate to real-world implications. There may be a very small, significant link between, let's say, eye color and turnover, but it would only account for 0.00001% of turnover, yet still be significant. Such an effect is negligible in the grand scheme of things, and no hiring manager would ever take eye color into account when deciding whether to hire someone. However, you could make a big headline saying, eye color is able to predict turnover, and be correct, yet very misleading. Which brings me to my final point. People look at very small conclusions from a much larger set of conclusions to create significant headlines in the media. Often, we see in newspapers headlines such as this: "Chocolate is good for you." This example comes from a combination of factors: misinterpretation of the statistics, and the media jumping on something that they can create a clickbait title out of that will spark a conversation. In this study, chocolate in general was bad for you. They are not how statistics should be used, and HR should hold a higher standard to their own statistical analyses. I will cover more on this topic in Module 2, where I talk about the biases we have and how they can influence our statistical analyses. But hopefully, this is giving you a good glimpse of how statistics can be abused. A proper understanding of statistics can help you overcome these biases and help you reach a better understanding of the drivers behind your workforce. That concludes this lesson. Here are the key takeaways of this lesson. In this lesson, you've learned how widespread statistics are used in our everyday lives. From the weather, to traffic, to a friendly board game on Friday night, we use statistics all the time, whether we know it or not. Secondly, you've learned much more about how statistics can help HR. It can help us determine whether someone's performance is much better than their peers, or understand the inner workings of turnover. Finally, we briefly spoke about the implications of statistics and how it can be used for malicious purposes. In the next lesson, I will be covering descriptive statistics. What are descriptive statistics? How are they useful to us? And what are the differences between the mean, the mode, and the median? This and more will be covered in the next lesson. See you there.